Hello, this is Dr. Robert Smith, chiropractic internist again. Today I want to talk with you about vitamin D and why is it important, not just for bone health. Vitamin D plays a central role and is actually considered part of the superfamily of receptors. There are actually throughout the entire body many tissues that have got specialized receptors called vitamin D receptors. One of the things that I want to talk to you about is calcium and vitamin D, but not necessarily where you think about. It's not the bones we're talking about. It's actually every cell in your body uses calcium through a particular little opening receptor that's a gateway. Because calcium turns out to be the currency that's used inside of all of our cells to produce energy that runs every metabolic process we can possibly think about. So one of the things that vitamin D does is intracellularly it plays a key role on helping us maintain the steady state low level of calcium inside the cell. Because the ratio of calcium outside the cell is about 10,000 to 1 of what's inside the cell. So anytime you have calcium come into the cell, it is basically going in to start up a process. And it orchestrates the activity of many of our different biological processes. So vitamin D is important for you for this reason. Vitamin D is playing this part inside the cell by regulating how much calcium stays inside the cell. We actively pump calcium out to keep it down at that low level. Vitamin D is controlled through the intake that it comes in from our intestines. It's also modulated in the effect of what is called the parathyroid hormone, the little central tissue behind our thyroid gland. That plays a key part in regulating all this stuff throughout our body. So this vitamin D inside the cell is going to be what's responsible for keeping our calcium at the low level. It's going to make a big difference on how well it will allow the calcium to come in and upregulate the activity of all of our tissue. So how should you do vitamin D? What should you do with this port? What should you do to make sure it stays healthy? First of all, make sure you got enough vitamin D. There's a wide range of D. Vitamin D is basically something in the neighborhood of 0 through 20, you're deficient. 20 through 30, they call you insufficient. 30 to 100 is called adequate or normal. But all the research that's come out in the last 5-10 years indicates that normal vitamin D for healthy individuals that are really healthy and optimal ranges are more in the area of 55 to 75. That higher level of vitamin D allows for this regulation intracellular of calcium to be maintained at its peak performance. When do you want to get your vitamin D? Well, ideally you want to get it during the daylight hours. But most of us spend so much time inside the house or inside of our office, we don't get D like we used to. We also have concerns about skin cancer. To mitigate that, what you have to understand is most people will be better served if they supplement vitamin D about 4,000 IUs in the morning of D3. As a general rule, most people are not getting enough vitamin D. It's been listed as an epidemic problem in all across different parts of the nation and all across the world. It seems to become more magnified as a bigger problem during the winter months when the same mechanism that I'm explaining to you about calcium being controlled and vitamin D being a key player is part of the problem that happens with people in depression and seasonal affect disorder. Low vitamin D levels impact your energy level and play a part in how poorly your mitochondria will function. So vitamin D, we get it in the morning. We want to get enough of it. To make sure you're doing it that way, you're not getting too much, you should ask your physician to have your blood levels checked so that you make sure you're staying in that upper range of that 55 to 75 range. Concerns for people would be, of course, anybody that has poor kidney functions, anyone that basically is known to make calcium renal stones. These people need to be monitored more closely. Talk with your doctor about that. The next important mineral that I want to talk about being controlled by calcium, controlled in this port, is magnesium. Adequate magnesium plays a key part in controlling that gateway. And it is also listed as an epidemic proportion deficiency of inadequate amounts of magnesium. Magnesium plays a key part in keeping the gait from running too fast. Not having enough magnesium is associated with problems like hyperexcitability of nerves, centralized sensitization of pain. This would be everything from headache problems to fibromyalgia problems to irritable bowel syndrome to chronic different problems of that nature. You would be well served to make sure your magnesium and your vitamin D are both being taken care of. Looking behind, you'll see that this is an example of this gait that I'm talking about. Nerves, our spinal cord, and our brain. It's the key motivator, if you will, for all these metabolic operations, and this receptor, the N-methyl-D-aspartate receptor, is sensitive to lots of things. In other talks in the future, we will go into some of the more details of what will make these receptors have problems. But for today's purpose, just remember, calcium goes in, is causing your cell to upregulate or move quickly and do metabolic things. It's very easy for my patients to regulate their activity of their calcium, their magnesium, and vitamin D. They do it, quite frankly, all the time. But if you need some help, feel free to contact me and schedule a time where we can get together. You can find me on the web at brspine.com. You can reach us in the phone by 225-291-2626. Call today or whenever you can. I look forward to talking to you.